अगर मैं आपको आज की डेट में एक ऐसी बाइक बताऊं जिसका प्राइस अब 40,000 रुपए के अराउंड सस्ता हो चुका है एंड द बाइक लॉस्ट ओनली 25 cc's ऑफ इंजन कैपेसिटी एंड समहाउ बिकमिंग लाइटर, साउंड्स लाइक बजाज ने कुछ अमेजिंग कर दिया है, राइट? बट व्हाट इफ आई टेल यू दिस माइट एक्चुअली मेक द डोमिनर 400 इवन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग देन बिफोर, बिकॉज बजाज ने अपने 373cc इंजन को 349.13cc पे लाके खड़ा किया है. And because of the GST structure, the price has dropped by almost 37,000. But the real question isn't how much money you save. The real question is what did Bajaj sacrifice to save that money? And after all these changes, क्या आपको 2026 में Bajaj Dominar 400 लेनी चाहिए? Let's find out. So, before we talk about the Dominar, let's talk about the older one. Because Dominar 400 was actually an interesting motorcycle. It has big bike feel, a big engine, good highway performance, and it is built for touring. But despite all of that, it never really became the motorcycle Bajaj जो बनाना चाहती थी. You would see a lot of Himalayans, a lot of KTMs, Royal Enfield 650, but Dominar comparatively उतना नहीं दिखती. And that's what makes the new version interesting. Because Bajaj has now made the Dominar cheaper and affordable. So let's go back to basics. The old Dominar 400 had a 373.3cc engine and the new one gets a 349.13cc engine. Why? The GST. By bringing the engine below 350cc, Bajaj gets a lower GST bracket. And Bajaj ने ऐसा क्यों किया? ताकि वो हम लोगों को ये बाइक 37,000 रुपए सस्ते में दे पाए. So technically, Bajaj has made the bike cheaper without simply giving you a discount. But अब अगर डोमिनर का इंजन छोटा हो गया तो इसका मतलब बाइक थोड़ी सी वीक हो गई है. Yes, there's a drop, but it's actually not a drastic one you might think. The new Dominar produces 40.6 PS and 33 Nm of torque. And here's the interesting part. 40.6 PS from the 349cc engine. That's still a pretty healthy number. Yes, टॉर्क थोड़ा सा डिक्रीज हुआ है एज कम्पेयर टू द 373cc मोटर, बट बजाज hasn't turned the Dominar into a some slow commuter. The other interesting changes is weight. The new Dominar is around 190 kgs, roughly 3 किलो सस्ती है पहले से. So let me tell you straight, smaller engine, lower price, less weight and almost the same power. Now this is where I started getting interested in this bike because I think Dominar has always an identity issue. Is it an ADV, a sports bike, a cruiser, a touring bike? Honestly, it's a little bit of everything. And that's actually its strength. You would get a relaxed riding position, a big bike feel, highway focused character, enough performance for long distance touring. But don't buy the Dominar thinking it's Himalayan because it's not. मेरी हिमालयन 450 का एग्जाम्पल ले लो. मैं इसको माउंटेन्स पे ले जाना चाहता हूँ. ब्रोकन रोड्स पे, ट्रेस, स्पीति, लद्दाख, ऑफ रोड, एवरीवेयर. दैट्स वेयर हिमालयन मेक्स सेंस. Dominar का sweet spot is little bit different. Highways, long road trips, smooth roads and touring with a more road focused setup. If you're touring means Delhi, Manali, Leh, Dominar can make sense. But if you're touring means Delhi, Spiti के random trails, I would still take the Himalayan. And now we reach the biggest reason why I'm talking about this bike. Price. The new Dominar 400 starts at 2.03 lakhs ex-showroom Delhi. And that's where the motorcycle becomes interesting. Because at 2 lakh rupees, you're not just buying a commuter with big engine. You're getting a proper touring oriented motorcycle. Because if you have watched my previous video, you must have known about the KTM's Adventure 390 whose engine was brought down to 349.32cc. And that bike is around 2.81 lakhs. So now you have two motorcycles using the same GST trick but targeting completely different riders. So you should buy Dominar if you do mostly highways, long distance road trips, you want a big looking bike and you don't want to spend 3 lakh rupees. Dominar becomes very interesting. If you want actual adventure riding, off-road, 19-inch front wheel, long travel suspension, more advanced electronics, KTM starts making more sense. Buy Himalayan. If you are somewhere in between, you want a proper touring plus serious adventure capability, that's where Himalayan 450 comes in. So, did Bajaj actually make the Dominar better? I would say they made it more accessible. The old Dominar biggest problem wasn't necessarily that it had a bad bike, but it was that the competition became too strong. Now Bajaj has attacked the one thing that can genuinely change the equation. Price, almost 37,000 cheaper, around 190 kgs, 40.6 PS, 349cc engine, and still retain its touring focused character. That's a much more interesting Dominar. But guys, let's not get carried away. There are still more things I would want to see before calling this a perfect 2 lakh rupees touring bike. So if you ask me, is the new Dominar 400 worth considering in 2026? Absolutely, especially if your budget is around 2 lakh rupees and you want a proper highway riding touring machine. It is a road focused touring machine that happens to have an adventure bike appeal. And honestly, I think that where Bajaj has finally made the Dominar identity clearer, you don't buy a Dominar to conquer a trail, you buy a Dominar to conquer the highway. And at the budget of 2 lakh rupees, the proportion is actually pretty damn interesting. बट अब आप बताओ 2 लाख के अराउंड अगर आपको एक टूरिंग मशीन लेनी हो तो क्या आप न्यू डोमिनर 400 लोगे या 80,000 ऐड करके आप KTM एडवेंचर 390 की तरफ जाओगे या 1 लाख रुपए ऐड करके आप लोगे हिमालयन 450? कमेंट में बताओ। और इफ आई से क्या आप इसी प्राइस में वी स्टॉर्म 250 का ऑप्शन चूज करोगे? सो अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आई हो तो डू शेयर इट, लाइक इट एंड कमेंट इट। और मिलते हैं आपसे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में। कीप वॉन्डरिंग लाइक वॉन्डरिंग फॉक्स।